Hey, we're back in the Livestream Lounge here at Brewbound Session, San Diego. This time, it's Ray Latif, and I'm joined with Michael Kiser, who's the founder of Good Beer Hunting, and Matt Kennedy, who's the creative director of BevNet and Brewbound. Thanks so much for being with us, guys.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Ray.
So, Michael Kiser is the founder of Good Beer Hunting, as I noted, which is a strategic brand consultancy and also operates an editorial component where you guys talk about what on your website?
Mostly beer.
Mostly beer.
A little bit of cider, some spirits.
Good guess. I would have guessed.
mostly
Yeah.
beer.
So, talk to us a little bit about what you do in terms of working with brands as consulting brands.
Yeah. So we work with breweries of all sizes, the entire food chain, really. Little guys that are starting up, people who've been in market for a few years, just getting their feet under them and kind of want to refresh who they are and really take a run at it for the first time, or big companies, Pacifico, AB, folks like that have strategic communications or portfolio design needs and things like that want to look at the market and make sure they're hitting it just right at the right time. So we work from top to bottom, and it's market strategy, it's brand strategy, it's storytelling, and it's visual design.
So you would seem to be a good judge for our Startup Brewery Challenge, which is our new early stage craft beer competition, and you are a judge.
Yeah, we started. We joined last time for the judging panel when you were in Chicago.
Yep.
And that's when Braxton Brewing won.
Yep.
And I think up until that point, brand was always part of the kind of components of whether you won or lost. But
Right.
I think bringing me on as a judge is a clear indication that everybody's starting to recognize in beer right now, as competitive as that landscape gets,
Yep.
the brand is a much bigger part of that story than anybody really realized.
Correct.
And so I'm happy to be back again on this panel. We got some new startups coming up today that I'll get my first look at.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we started making the Learning Curve series of videos where we got to help creative direct some of those and partner with you guys to bring that story to life.
Yeah, interesting. And let's talk a little bit about that. And Matt, I know you have a little bit more experience with the learning curve. In terms of how it works to help these new beverages, or I'm sorry, these new craft beer companies sort of scale and enhance their branding. I mean, what is it about that program that's so useful?
About the Learning Curve specifically?
Yes, about the learning
Yeah,
curve.
well, I mean, that program is hugely impactful for somebody like Braxton, as tiny as they are.
Yeah, definitely. You're talking about a small little local brewery who's now getting exposure to what it's like to scale up. They got to sit down up in Portland with the guys at Widmer and sit down and learn what it's like to take your recipe and scale.
Yeah.
How do you change it? How do you scale up? What changes along the way? They have a quality control lab there. They had the marketing team. So they really got to see what it's like to grow up and be a big boy and a big player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who comes out of this Startup Brewery Challenge and who's going to be part of Learning Curve number 2.
Yeah, and Michael, what's your specific role in learning curve? And how do you work with some of these brands that are participating in it?
Well, it was really kind of a brainchild of myself and Chris Finari of Brewbound. He's been a big fan of GBH for a while, just from a storytelling perspective, realizing how deep we can go with some of these stories. And
GBH, Good Beer Hunting, not WGBH, where they produce things like Sesame Street and whatnot.
There's also a punk band. I get that a lot.
Well,
unbeknownst to me.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he really had the vision, I think, for what would happen if we kind of mashed Brewbound and Good Beer Hunting together to tell a story.
Okay.
Because Brewbound does such a great job of capturing sort of the business story that happens
Right.
in beer every day. And it's a place that I go to for that every day. And he knew how impactful the Startup Brewery Challenge was for these breweries after they won
Yep.
and got to go to Widmer Brothers, because it is about scale. How do you scale up a beer recipe, but also from an operational perspective.
Right.
What are the things that are going to come up that you have to wrap your head around now in order to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that experience was happening for those startup brewers when they won that challenge with Widmer Brothers, but nobody really knew what that looked like. And it was really hard to describe to people what they were really in for. And so when he reached out and said, like, could you help us tell this story? Yeah, we got really excited about that, because it's such a David and Goliath story.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a classic sort of narrative of this tiny little brewery like Braxton who's going to walk into Widmer and their necks are going to snap from looking so high at those fermenters.
Yeah.
But then it's also going to be really, really personal, sitting across the table from people that they're going to meet for the first time and get some of the best advice they'll ever get in the history of their company.
Right.
In a very personal, very sort of informal way. And it's just beautiful to be able to be there and capture that and see their faces and see them learning kind of in real time.
Yeah, very
and
much so.
CBA's been a great partner for that too. They've kind of given us unprecedented access to go in there and film the whole process, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Well, it's their hops, their ingredients that these guys are coming in and getting to use. So from that point of view, as a small brewery, you now have access to ingredients and things you never even thought you'd be able to get your hands on. So,
And that's the other aspect of the learning curve. I mean, it's being documented, the interaction that some of these small brands have with CBA, and it's on the Brewbound website, and it's part of a video series. You know, when's the next one coming out?
Well, we're probably going to do. It'll depend on when they go and actually do the collaboration beer from the winners from today. But at least today we'll find out who's going.
Okay.
And then it's just a matter of when, and we'll all be there to watch it happen again.
And you have a pretty big role in that, don't you?
Yeah, we're gonna keep making the videos with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty rad story to tell. We
Well,
made it connected.
I actually meant a pretty big role in terms of choosing who the next person
Just
is.
being super judgmental. Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah, I'll be on the panel along with some folks from CBA, and then I think we have Tommy Arthur and a couple other folks. So I think there's 5 or 6 of us total that'll be weighing in.
Yep.
Obviously, my specific focus will be on brand and storytelling and how they describe who they are and where their passion lies and where they're coming from.
Right.
But there's a lot of factors that go into being a successful startup brewery. That's only one of them.
Outstanding. Well, Michael, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm sure Matt really appreciates you taking the time as well. So good luck with the judging, and see you a little bit later on.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
thank you, sir.